Okay, you're live, sir.
All right, so starting this July 1st meeting of the Military Equipment Ad hoc, as everyone knows, there was a draft that essentially was put together by myself that went to the Police Commission, and the Police Commission had a lot of comments about it. I have amended that draft and brought that back to you all based on the discussion at the commission meeting. So we want to redraft it. We want to take this ad hoc, this July 1st ad hoc, and the one on July the 15th coming up. So it's prospective. And from the results of both of those ad hocs, we want to then present that to the commission meeting on the 23rd. One of the things that I wanted to get back to for just a quick discussion was in my statement to the commission that I was asking the commission to approve to go to the Council Public Safety Committee was a reiteration of a prior position that we had taken in regards to the Bearcat. Wanted to clarify, if I might, Captain Perez, whether or not there's still the intention of the department to replace the current Bearcat with one or two other ones, or whether we're talking about replacing it with a suburban vehicle, car.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I spoke to the chief of police for this because I know it came up on the last police commission that he attended. It was my understanding that the last time we spoke about the Bearcat, it was under the non-binding agreement that once the Bearcat met its life expectancy, we were going to work on finding alternates to replace the Bearcat. Um, one of the challenges that we're having is that the Bearcat obviously provides a unique service to us when it comes to protection, right? Uh, as an example, in a Bearcat, you can fit up to 8 to 10 people inside that Bearcat, which provides cover. You have the ability to uh, insert a gurney. Let's say somebody is injured, we can put somebody in the gurney in the back of the Bearcat while they're providing medical aid. Um, we have seen other models, and Lieutenant Gonzalez can speak on these. There is a vehicle that sits in a Ford chassis, which is pretty much as an SUV, but it's way smaller scale, right? And which does not provide us the space that it's needed to that we need when we run operations. In addition to that, obviously the Bearcat, the model that we have, it's almost 20, I believe, it's almost like 20 years old. Um, as I mentioned before, we use it for more than anything for protection for the officers and for the public whenever we're doing a rescue. Um, my concern is we have not been able to find something that will replace them that still meets our expectations when it comes to officer safety. And one of them is capacity, right? Like I said, Lenco, that brand, they do these Bearcats. I can fit up to 8 operators, or 6 operators in the back, two in the front, and then still have the ability to um, have space for whatever equipment that we need. When we've seen these other models which sit like on a vehicle like the Tahoes, they don't afford that. Like as an example is we have an armor Tahoe, right? That's just a regular armor that just sits on a regular chassis where if best we can fit 4 people with their kits on. Because remember, once the officers have their equipment on, it's a lot of gear that they have, and for them to sit in like in a conventional vehicle seat, it provides a challenge for us. So I mean, I want to find I want to present to you guys an alternate on the Bearcat that obviously it's going to be safe for the police force and for the public. And obviously we're willing to listen to options um, and go from there. But as of now, we have not found something that is suitable for the Oakland Police Department needs when it comes to replacing the Bearcat.
And so that's a $300,000 plus vehicle, correct?
I believe that well, at the time, I believe that I'll let Lieutenant Captain Phil answer that one because he has a exact number on that.
Go ahead, Captain Fibble.
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. Yes, sir. So we've looked at potential replacement options, and the average is just over $400,000 per unit, current cost.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, John.
So in September of 2021, almost 4 years ago, the department gave a presentation to the commission on potential replacement vehicles. And that presentation included several possibilities that while they didn't give the number of seats, there was an armored passenger bus um, that was part of it. There was there were others, a cash and transit vehicle. There was an ambulance, armored ambulance. So I guess I'm kind of wondering, that was like a long time ago. I'm not hearing you say that the problem is lack of resources to replace it. I haven't heard you say that yet. I believe there was a question at the time of where the funds would come from to replace it. But I guess I'm just wondering what happened to that presentation, right? What happened to the vehicles that were candidates to replace the Bearcat that the department had done all this research on, had put them before the commission as possibilities, and now I like it's just sort of a long time later, and I'm kind of unclear as to whether the department is still considering what were presented in that presentation or something else.
Captain Perez, please.
I know Captain Febble knows about this because he was involved, but I just want to add a little bit more when you're talking about those presentations. You bring up the ambulance, right? Because we did consider like a minivan type version of it. The thing with the minivan is it does not have a turret. A turret is needed for cover. So way to explain this is if the Oakland Police Department is serving a search warrant and it's serving a search warrant in an area, in a residential area or wherever the I guess the service needs to be done, sometimes we are confronted with structures that have multiple layers. So meaning the possible suspects can be at a higher ground than where the police is. So therefore, like that turret is it's needed for us to again, it's a cover platform. The ambulance did not have that option when we were exploring these vehicles. So again, I know a lot of models were presented, but I want to make sure that when we have the funding to replace the Bearcat, that we pick a vehicle that's gonna fit our needs. And I'll let Lieutenant Phil elaborate more on that presentation that happened in 2021 that you're talking about.
Go ahead, Lieutenant Fibble. I thought you were a captain, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Rouse. No, we have looked into several different options. Obviously, the goal is to bridge the gap between the intrusiveness of these types of vehicles on the community, but also extremely important, as Captain Prezangela stated, we do have to have a level of capacity in the vehicle to be able to have sufficient operators to address tactical needs, but also the ability to render immediate aid, importantly for persons who are significantly injured or disabled, for a gurney. In accomplishing this, Lieutenant Gonzalez did some significant research, and there are numerous options out there, but two of the most prevalent ones that we have found recently is the Lenco MedCat. It's a medical-based Bearcat, specifically designed with medical-based equipment on the interior, and it also affords us the capacity of the current Bearcat. It's also painted white, so it's not as intrusive. That is an option. Secondarily, Pat brought up another option that could work. This is the Lenco SUV. It's an armored SUV. It is sitting on a Ford F-550 chassis, the same as a large, commercial vehicle, but not an MRAP, which is a military grade chassis. It's an F-550 chassis. This vehicle is sufficient in the offerings of how it would provide as tactical cover for firearms, but it is much lower in capacity compared to the Bearcat, which would require us to purchase two of these as an option, which would slightly increase our cost. But we do have certain available considerations. The challenge is that when the initial conversations for the non-binding agreement occurred, the budget for OPD and the replacement vehicle was never allocated to the agency. So while we do have several options and we would love to present them to you, we would need allocation of funds upon your approval to procure whatever option we choose.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks. I hear the department say that with the armored SUV, you can fit four officers in SWAT gear, and with the Bearcat, you can fit eight. And I understand that distinction. The part I'm not familiar with is how many officers, like what can you walk me through an example of a specific time the Bearcat was used and how the number of officers was used? And also just a request to please turn on your videos since that was brought up last time. Thank you.
So, Ms. Two, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this one over to Lieutenant Gonzalez, who has significant familiarity with the level of gear and the capacity of the current Bearcat and the ability to use it for rescues in conjunction with the operators on there, and in comparison to the other options there, so that you can understand the minimal capacity needed for rescue operations.
Good evening, everybody. So our two main concerns are durability and the rescue of victims. So we need to find a viable option that would afford us both those things. And I think this is a side conversation we should have if we're just going to discuss replacement specifically. So I think we should move on.
Not sure what your a side conversation. How do you mean a side conversation, sir?
Or one specific to replacing our aging Bearcat. So we do have options that we can go over that afford durability and the ability to rescue injured individuals.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Then we could sit down and we could discuss those options and hopefully come to an agreement to replace the Bearcat.
Okay, but you're saying that's not a priority for this report at this time?
Correct, yes. And once again, even replacing the Bearcat wasn't binding, so we're not making any commitment to even replace it. But we can go over some other options that maybe we can all agree on.
Okay. All right, so the box was marked in the last report to replace it, but so we're taking that mark out of the box at this point.
Yes, please.
All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hey everyone, Commissioner Dalt here. Question for the police department. I know I think the last Bearcat had some funding through the Urban Area Security Initiative. I don't know if that's directly through the state or the federal government. I'm not exactly sure who that money comes from. I'm curious, when we talk about allocating funds, are we talking about OPD funds directly, or are we talking about taking a grant from one of these state or federal agencies?
Good question, sir. That would have been direct allocation of funding to OPD's general fund, specifically for that vehicle from the city. Obviously, if there were entities that would be willing to provide that funding directly to the agency with the commission's permission, we always have to seek your guys' permission before even attempting to procure any type of funding like that. But the source of the funding, if available, would have to be provided directly to OPD's general fund for that particular item. To my knowledge, and I do appreciate you bringing up that possibility that money was allocated. I was not aware of that, but we will certainly look into it, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's right. In the past, it had come from outside of the city, but current city regulations stipulate that even if money is sought from outside, the commission's permission is necessary. And then when the equipment is identified and received, the commission's permission is necessary. That's how I understand is anyone disagree with that?
I don't disagree. Can I jump in here really quick?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Um, yeah, no, sorry, I was on another call, but I caught the last bit of this conversation, and I heard Lieutenant or someone say how the resolution wasn't legally binding. Technically, whether it's legally binding or not, this is something that the commission and the community and the police department came to an agreement upon doing, and got to the point to where the police department had picked out alternative vehicles. So it's really a community relations, police commission, police department relations issue as well. And in my understanding, at least as of a couple of years ago, the vehicle had never been used to actually save any residents or police officers from any sort of situation. So if you actually have examples of that, that would be interesting to see. But I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that. We asked that question back in 2021, and or 2021, yeah, 2022, there were no examples. And the durability issue is something that the police department originally brought to the police commission in 2019, saying that it was in the shop more than 50% of the time, due to the issue with like the chassis wasn't strong enough and all the hard stops caused it to always be in the shop and not be available. So that's why I specifically asked for the preventative and corrective maintenance costs for the history of the vehicle, so we can see what the actual cost benefit analysis has been since it's been in place. And when the department originally purchased the Bearcat, they didn't go through this community process with the police commission and outreach to the community and stuff. And I believe it was bought through Department of Homeland Security grant, but
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, this is probably, I agree with Lieutenant Gonzalez, this probably is a bit of a longer conversation, but I just wanted to respond to a couple of things that I heard.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Do you still have something you want to add, Lieutenant Gonzalez?
Yes, so the Bearcat, just offhand, thinking back in history, the Bearcat was used for the Oikos University active shooter where multiple people were killed, and it was used to move in to rescue those victims. So that's just one example. So once again, there are viable replacements for the Bearcat, and I think we should sit down and discuss those viable replacements, as Lieutenant Febble said, or Acting Captain Febble said.
Excellent, excellent.
Hey, can I just ask a follow-up question? I do
Please.
think that we should sit down and go over the replacements. Are you talking about the replacements being another version of a Bearcat, or just replacement vehicles like the department had presented to us back in fall of 2021?
So I don't know specifically what was presented in 2021, and I don't think anybody that presented is even working at the Oakland Police Department anymore. So we should sit down and discuss what we feel are viable options.
Yeah, right. But it is something that the police department did present to us. And I know that you all were still more than likely, at least some of you, at the department. But yes, let's sit down and talk about that further.
Good. So that reemphasizes the need, as I put in my statement to the commission, to go to the Public Safety Committee, that we need to meet more regularly around this equipment as the opportunities and needs arise. I'm wondering, is there any other specific equipment or strategy that needs to be included in our consideration for the 2024 report? Go ahead, John.
So yeah, thank you. I think there's it's maybe less about specific types of equipment and more about the overall transparency needs. So I appreciate and Ms. Joseph hasn't had a chance yet to say anything, but that the work on revising the report is considerable. The state law does require that the report be publicly available before the community meeting. We haven't seen a revised report yet. I guess I'm looking for, an ETA on public posting of the revised report. Um, even on the new website, the 2024 report is not posted. So I don't know whether, I know that the new website there's any time a new website is rolled out, there are things there are many challenges, technical challenges, but the state law does require that the report be available to the public before the community gets a chance to talk about it
Yes,
with the department.
I can definitely speak to that. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay. So the new website just went live and I have to be trained on how to update everything. So that's a delay, and I just found out that this is going to be my responsibility. So I'm going to be working on that pretty soon. I just got an email to schedule the training, and so I'm going to send that email out tomorrow so I can find out when I'll be trained and how soon we can get it updated. However, I can update the folder that I've shared with you all so that you can see the revisions that have already been made. The only thing that can't be done right now is adding the hyperlinks that you requested, because the hyperlinks have to have a place, the documents have to have a place within the website first before a hyperlink can be created to update on the report.
Okay. Yeah,
Let me just ask, Ms. Joseph, the community meeting is on the 16th. Do you generally expect that the report's updates will be able to be completed before the meeting?
I would say yes, because I'm diligent and making sure that I can meet my deadlines. Reaching out to whoever I have to assist me with it to get it done. I do believe it should be done by then.
Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, and I echo my appreciation for all of the work that you've been putting into updating the report, and to everyone who's been supporting that effort. And just also wanted to thank you for including those hyperlinks. I've seen a number of reports where it's really difficult for members of the public to find the reference policies, and so really appreciate you doing that work.
You're welcome.
I did want to flag one thing for this group to consider. I don't think it's entirely for Ms. Joseph, but for the department. There is one document, one policy on chemical weapons. I think that's TBVF02. And that one is not listed on the policies website for OPD. The other documents I saw were, but not the one on chemicals. And the reason why this is important is that state law says that for the duration that that the specified military equipment is in use, the policy must be posted publicly on the department's website. So I just want to flag that for everyone. I'm not too sure where we want to go with discussion on that.
What policy is that? I'm sorry.
It's the chemical
Chemical,
training bulletin VF02.
Captain President, I do believe that that
policy.
policy was folded under the revised policy. I don't recall the exact number off the head, but I do believe it is subcategorized in overall policy that the police commission approved. We'll look into that exact number and ensure that it is correctly posted.
Okay, thank you.
And what I can say is that it is also included, it is included in the folder that I've created for that says Military Equipment Commission documents. It's attachment M, and so that'll also be uploaded with the report itself. Jennifer, I think you have access to that.
Yeah, yes, I do. And
Okay.
and I saw that the issue though is that using this equipment without the policy posted on the department's public website is a violation of state law.
Yeah.
So I think maybe checking in on when this will be posted or what the department plans to do around use of chemical weapons until then would be helpful.
Go ahead, John.
I get off mute. That would help. Um, uh, I was going to say something about that as well because given what is going on in this country and the use of chemical agents as well as impact projectiles in protests and for crowd control, the department's policy was revised in 2022, and it's considerably, it incorporates a lot of considerations for civil liberties, for protection of the public. So it's super important, I think, that the public have access to it. And that's true of all of these things. It's, for us to have access to these things in the folder is really good. I mean, it's really facilitates our work and I really appreciate it. And it is key that it be available to the public. The other question I just wanted to ask is I had asked this in one of my questions about the number of deployments of a particular type of impact munition, which is the DefTech Model 1097. It wasn't clear whether they were deployed in 2024 or not. And this is another one that is significant to us because that particular munition is one that we call a scattershot munition, meaning that when it is fired or detonates, it disperses. And it's of concern to us when it gets used because it's indiscriminate by its technical nature. And so knowing whether it was used in 2024 a few times or not at all is a significant one as well.
Okay.
And I think in the response it didn't quite say we could see some response within the department like, oh, was this used in sort of uncertainty? But it would be important to clarify that question.
So I can clarify. That was your question number 11. Your question in page 55 and 57, it says the flashbang model CS 1097 was deployed 4 times, but tech says it was not deployed last year. Please clarify which is correct. And one person responded that says, I did see the MU search and it showed 0 deployments, not sure if we had 4. So my answer is the CS Blast 1097 is not a flashbang, it is a chemical agent. But see, I haven't updated it yet, so I haven't put that in the folder just yet. But yeah, so it's a 1090, it's a chemical agent, it's not a flashbang, and yes, it was deployed. The 1097 was deployed. Hold on, let me pull up the report.
And the department officials can correct me, but I believe that some flashbangs do have chemical agents in them. But so.
Yeah, I just want to clarify a couple of things when we're talking about terminology. A flashbang to us it's a device, a light sound device. This is not it does not emit anything but light and sound. Now, the 1097 is what we call a CS blast, which contains chemical munitions. Once you deploy it, it separates the head from the body for the same reason, because once it detonates, it does create an explosion, and during that explosion, it emits CS gas. Uh, and it's rubber. It's all made out of rubber. So it does not there's other chemical munitions that we have in our inventory is one of them, but we are not allowed to use per policy for 3G. We cannot deploy any munition like that skips any munitions that we can skip from the floor, or like wooden batons, any munition that does not conform to the body of a person. So we do have them because it's all stuff that we have, but once it expires, we are planning on removing everything that we can no longer use when we're talking about crowd control. And again, crowd control is we're governed by 3G, which is our policy. I hope that clarifies, because flashbang and CS blast are totally different munitions.
Thank you very much, Captain Perez. Appreciate that. So I presume then that other than the Bearcat discussion, which we've gone through over and over again, that there are no other specific munitions that have not already been covered than the ones we've discussed so far. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, and let me know if this isn't the right time to bring it up. I was curious about the drone program, because I saw the suggestion of increasing the number of drones. And I was just wondering if DQ, sorry, Captain DQ, if you might be willing to like walk us through like how the drones are assigned,
Yeah,
and why, because I see more drones than people.
I'll, I'll
And I
take the
also
captain
noticed
rank for the
the
pay, but I'm lieutenant, but I'll take the captain rank,
all
Jennifer.
right, sorry.
No, you're
I'll
cool.
learn the title someday.
I apologize if I'm eating too. I've been at
No
work since 5
problem.
a.m. and we've had multiple, unfortunately, call outs because I run the robbery division, felony assault. So we had stabbings, robberies, shootings, a lot of people in custody. So I apologize about that. So I can say that right now we have 17, I believe it's 17 to 19 certified FAA 107 pilots. We have 2 sergeants and myself. We just tested, and we're going to be taking on 6 more additional pilots or operators. So we're going to be running them through tests to get proficient. I kind of look at outside agencies and I try to see, one, how many deployments do we have, and how many deployments do outside agencies have, and how many operators do they have. So if you look at the Alameda County Sheriff's Department, I believe there are about 28 to 30 trained pilots. So I'm at 19. I'm trying to get a little bit more. So I think we'll be up to about 23 or 24 once we get these 6 officers trained up. Right now, I have $0 funding for our program. The drones I have were donated back in 2023 when we went live in April. I believe in April of 2023 we went live. That year we had 100, I'm going off the top of my head, about 126 deployments. 2024, I'm sorry, that was 2022. 2023, we increased deployments to about 220. And then last year we went back down to 128. One of the things that we harped on was just making sure that just because we need a drone doesn't mean we have to use one. But if it's going to assist us and benefit us in locating subjects or increase officer safety and hopefully resolve the situation quicker, then we can use it. And if it fits in the criteria. The drones we've had, I like to say we have, I think they're 13 off the top of my head. I have to look. Don't quote me on that, but they're 7 Mavic, 2 Enterprises. I want to say there's 5 minis, and the minis are the ones that go inside the houses. And then there's one bigger one called the Matrice 300 RTK. That one we utilize for sideshow activity. If there's a missing persons, we can, it has a better camera. It has more flight time. We can also utilize that during inclement weather. So we've been utilizing these.
Because that's a 30-minute lifetime,
So
flight
I
time.
believe um, airtime on each drone is about 42 minutes off the top of my head, but it depends on the payload. And the payload can be if we're going to put a spotlight on it, if we're going to put a speaker on it, then you're going to decrease airtime by about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And you also have to understand that you don't want to go down to the very 0% because then you got to fly back. So if you look at the amount of deployments we've had over the course of 23, 24, yeah. April of 2023, I want to say it's about 450 deployments. So the problem you have too is it's kind of like a car. The more you use it, the more it breaks. Fortunately, we have operators that are very tech savvy. They've gone to training on themselves and they're able to like, hey, if something's wrong, they're trying to fix it themselves. So we are trying to find funding to get more drones. And the more you use the drone, the more lifetime, obviously goes down. But the biggest thing we also saw was sometimes we have not everybody has a drone assigned to them. We store them inside the department, and it's whenever someone gets on duty. So let's just say we have ceasefire, we have special resources section like our crime reduction team, community resource officers, and we have patrol who are designated drone operators. Sometimes some of our drone operators are in Antioch trying to find a subject. Sometimes they're in Sacramento, Tracy, different cities. So that kind of depletes our drone um,
And
fleet. So somebody has the drone in a different city.
wait, why would the drones be in Sacramento?
No, so the drone goes with the operator. So let's just say that our crime reduction team or a ceasefire team is looking for a murder suspect, robbery suspect in the city of Antioch, city of Sacramento, city of Stockton, city of San Francisco. Then obviously they're going to take a drone with them. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to deploy it, but it just makes sense for them to actually have it since they're the goal of having our drones is if you're certified to have the drone, then you can have it in your car, which is what agencies utilize. They have the drone from the trunk. It kind of defeats the purpose of being out in the field. And then if we need to deploy a drone, an officer has to drive all the way back to the police station, then drive all the way back, lights and sirens, mitigating, trying to avoid traffic collisions, the time. It just makes more sense for the officers to always have the drone with them in their vehicle. So as far as looking for more drones, well, I'm just looking at the fact that we've been utilizing the same amount of drones since 2023, about 450 deployments. I can't tell you how much airtime that is. And the fact that we are getting more operators, it just seems more proficient for having more drones, depending on what part of the city you're at. And the fact that we've understood, I've presented to the Privacy Advisory Commission, and it just shows the cost benefit analysis of actually having these drones and mitigating uses of force and finding subjects or dispelling the fact that a subject might be there and us being able to clear the call sooner.
And so for those 17 through 23 officers who are currently pilots, I guess I have two questions. One is, what's the distribution across the shifts? Like, are all of them on the same shift or on different shifts? And then the other question I had is, I know you and I have talked about it, but some of these folks might not be aware. Can you run us through that protocol again about the 3 officers needed for deploying the drone again?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I'd have to go and look at the schedule, but the officers, the 6 new officers we're taking, I believe they're all from patrol. There are 3, I want to say 3 to 4 to 5 officers still in patrol. The other ones are in specialized units ranging from crime reduction team, community resource, ceasefire, and whether they're inside the building doing administrative work or in criminal investigation division. So the good thing about that is the people who are inside the building usually are working 410s or 5/8s Monday through Friday. They have their radios on, monitoring the radio so they can always deploy if need be when they're asking for um, drones. We haven't had as many deployments as we had before in the previous years. Last year, looking at it, I want to say we only contacted the Alameda County Sheriff's Department once or twice on deployments. As beforehand, I want to say it was maybe off the top of my head, 10 times. I think the first year was obviously way more than that. So we do have a one call system, kind of similar to the Blue Alert uh, SWAT team, where you can call us if you need us. But I'm part of that one call. I don't recall last year anybody coming in from home per se. I think we had sufficient people that were already at work, and that's kind of why we're expanding to add 6 more operators and why we're expanding trying to get more drones because it makes more sense to have more drones at work with more people trained up with the drones so that they can respond. The 3 per deployment was kind of like I looked at the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department. I looked at Alameda County Sheriff's Department, who helped me get our program up and running. And one of the things that they harped on, and a lot of agencies harp on, is you always have to have obviously the operator, the pilot. You have to have a visual observer, kind of looking to make sure that they're seeing what you're seeing. And hey, there's a tree. Hey, there's a bird. Hey, there's some wires. And then the third person was usually more for someone just covering your back and making sure, hey, because the one thing we did notice is you have a lot of people interested in our drones. So you have a lot of good community members coming up, and then all of a sudden you turn around, there's a resident. Oh, well, I'm just trying to look at your screen. Like, what's going on? And you're like, all right, let me explain to you. Like, totally fine. Just, can you just back up a little bit and we'll totally show you the drone after. So you get a lot more people coming up and saying, hey, this is really cool. And they just want to walk up and see the drones. So but we just kind of looked at what other officers and departments had done. So that was mainly the 3 people. But usually it's only about 2 people just because short staffing. And then you're dealing with making sure you have other uh, officers in specified locations.
So then can the commission then be expecting you to come to the commission seeking to go out for funds for this addition?
Yeah, I mean the one thing that we're looking at, and I had talked to the Privacy Commission, um, not at a meeting, but just obviously off to the side, like after the meeting, was saying, hey, like there's more technology now, so like us trying to get the same drones that we have, some of the stuff might be outdated, but it doesn't do anything more than what we do, if that makes sense. The camera resolution might be better, the flight time might be a little bit longer. But we're not asking for anything additional other than having a camera, having flare, having a speaker on some, having interior drones, exterior drones. So yeah.
Go ahead, John.
So, an observation and a question. You said that the Alameda County Sheriff's Office has 28 to 30 pilots, and you're trying to get OPD up to 23 or 24 pilots. OPD has 13 drones. Even if you double them, the ratio of pilot to drone that you're trying to achieve is about 1 to 1. In the sheriff's office, they have more than 150 drones.
100%.
So they actually don't require a pilot for every drone. They have basically 1 pilot for every 5 drones. So that's an observation. It seems to me like the drive to have more and more pilots and then more and more drones, it seems like the sheriff's office is doing it differently in some way that doesn't
So
require the same ratio of operator to drone.
So I will
They're
say
running 300, more than 300 deployments a year, right? So
they
they're
are.
also doing a lot more than OPD is. And yet you're trying to get almost the same number of operators as the sheriff's office has, which has, currently 10 times as many drones and, you know, 2 or 3 times the number of deployments. That's my observation. My question, because I know we're coming up on the hour, is actually about the report. As I understand it, and this might be for Ms. Joseph. I'm not sure who can answer this, but as I understand it, because the state law requires a reporting on the personnel costs of the use of militarized equipment, military equipment. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
that the department is working on a time, a point for that fiscal reporting. And I'm wondering if there is an estimated time for when that reporting on the full fiscal costs, including personnel costs, is expected. Because, it's related to this question of personnel that's used for drone operating.
I don't know, Ms. Joseph, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, my captain is going to speak to that.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. So we had a meeting with fiscal today, and obviously it's going to be a challenge for us to break it down to the granular level. I think the best we're going to be able to do is whatever piece of equipment that exists, and I'll give you an example: the rifles, the AR-15 rifle platform, or even the drones. Um, every time that we receive a piece of equipment, obviously we have to count for cost and the life expectancy of the rifle. We have those numbers. The other thing is like, how many times do we train with this piece of equipment, right? So for example, the PRO program, we have 50 rifles, right? So that means 50 police officers. They train 6 times a year. When they do training, it's a 10-hour day. They usually do that 10-hour day within their duty hours, not at overtime costs, right? They spend 9 hours out of the 10 doing either tactics, firearms training, and the last hour is to ensure they do the proper maintenance, right? So the way we came, the idea that we're coming up with is this: whatever piece of equipment it is, and whoever is training with it, we can come up with the estimate cost. So if you do the math for the PROs, for this report, it's going to be 50 rifles times 50 officers, which they train 10 hours a day, 6 times a year. And that's the best estimate that we can come. I think Jennifer, last time you were asking, you asked a question that was, I don't know who asked it. It was a very granular level, like, does your salary include taxes and benefits? What we were told by fiscal is the hourly rate that the officer getting paid includes all of that. So speaking with fiscal, that's what we're thinking of doing moving forward. We will examine the piece of equipment like the drones. I know Lieutenant Dazakiros, like he mentioned, he has all those pilots. All those pilots require training. They require certification to make sure they're still pilots, and we'll work with the shops to get the estimated cost of a year ballpark. And that's the way we're going to be able to come to the closest estimate when it comes to cost. The other way the question was broken down, it's just not possible for us to do it that way. Talking to our fiscal unit.
Yeah. No, really, really, really appreciate that. And knowing that one can't get down to the cent, it's like that's impossible. But an estimate that includes the training time, but also the operating time. I mean, with drones, that could be the bulk of it, right? And we also know that in any agency, public agency, private agency, personnel costs are the vast majority of any kind of cost. So
Yes.
trying to get a real good estimate on the personnel costs, not just when somebody goes to training, but when they use it, would be super, super helpful.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Perez. So let me ask Commissioner DeWitt or Commissioner Farmer whether they have any questions or comments they'd like to make before we close out for today.
I have nothing to add. Thank you for asking that.
Thank you too. I have nothing to add also.
You've got a hand.
Okay,
Joseph.
go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to add one thing to that. In the meeting, our fiscal team did say that she was gonna reach out to downtown to get more questions, to ask questions to see how we could get that drill down, if it's possible at all. And she said hopefully, maybe next week after the holiday that we may have an answer. So
Oh,
that's
great.
just to provide a time frame, if possible.
Okay, Mr. Geist.
I think this is questions from Ms. Joseph. Yesterday I received an email with several attachments I've downloaded, and there's an Excel spreadsheet. It's protected, is just so I can open up the cells and read further and do searches. Is it possible to get an email with the password or some type of version that would be searchable?
I'll have to check to see if I can do that.
I had the same
Yeah, it's protected for a reason because the format does not stay the same, and I don't want anybody to be able to go in and make changes. So, but I'll check to see if there's something that we can do.
Maybe if we can get a separate named version that's offline, that's not part of yours, that's just time stamped going backwards.
Again, I'll
If you,
check to see if that's something that we can do.
sorry, if you open it up in a web browser, it doesn't ask for a password or anything, and so you can read it there.
To like Google Docs.
No, like I just went into Firefox and said open file and was able to browse the list from there.
Okay.
You guys are all beyond my ken right now, so. I want to thank everybody for participating, and I think we've slugged our way through to make a little bit more progress. And we have the meeting on the 15th, and then we have the community presentation on the 16th that I hope many of us are going to be able to attend. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you online on the, what did I say, 15th. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you
Good
all,
night.
and good night to you as well. Have a great evening, everyone.
Good night, everybody.